William Carter had always been a person who gauged his existence by what he could offer. At 52, with graying hair that once was full and black, he found himself beginning in ways he'd never envisioned. The divorce of 3 years prior had left him with care of his 10-year-old son Liam and little more. His construction company had struggled during the downturn, and now he took whatever small tasks he could find to keep a home over their heads. That home, sadly, was currently a backspace in a tiny hardware shop where the owner, an old pal named Harold, allowed them to stay briefly. William had been too proud to seek help, always trusting he was just one good chance away from standing tall again. "Dad, I'm freezing," Liam murmured as William tucked the blanket around his son's shoulders. The December chill had grown harsh, and the space heater could only do so much against the leaky windows of the storeroom. "I know, buddy. I'll fix it. I swear," William grinned, hiding his anxiety. "Recall what Grandpa used to say, the iciest nights create the brightest stars." Liam nodded drowsily. "I saw a really bright one tonight. That means good fortune is coming," William said, kissing his son's forehead. "Now rest. Tomorrow will be better." Once Liam slept, William sat on a wooden box, rubbing his sore shoulder. The day's labor off shoveling snow from shop walkways had been exhausting, but the money in his pocket would buy a warm breakfast. He thought of the apartment applications he'd sent, all needing first and last month's rent plus a deposit sums. That felt impossibly huge now. William checked his watch, nearly midnight. He shouldered sleep, but unease tugged at him. Carefully, not awake Liam. He donned his coat and stepped outside for a moment, craving the sharp air to clear his mind. Mapleton was a quaint town with a historic main street that had seen better times. Yet in the soft snowfall, with old-fashioned lampposts glowing golden, it looked like a scene from a holiday card. William strolled a few shops down, his breath forming. Clouds in the frosty air. The town was quiet, save for the occasional car passing on far highway. That's when he saw her. A young woman sat on the curb outside the Mapleton building, an old stone edifice housing several stores. She wore a graceful cream dress that seemed to frail for few weather, with blonde hair flowing down her back. Even more striking was the lack of a proper coat, just a thin shawl around her shoulders. As she stared at her phone with a vexed look, William paused. His mother had taught him to keep to himself, but also to never ignore someone in need. He approached, slowly, not wanting to alarm her. "Excuse me, miss, are you okay?" The woman looked up, and William was struck by how youthful she seemed, likely in her early 30s. Her eyes were a vivid blue, edged with what might have been tears. "Oh, yes, I'm fine," she said, forcing a smile. "Just waiting for a ride share. That keeps canceling. I should have known better than to come other so late." William nodded sympathetically. "The last one usually stops running around in Mapleton, not enough trade after that." "I'm learning that." She shivered noticeably, her breath unsteady in the cold. "Where are you headed?" "The Ridge. Hotel is only a mile that way." William pointed down Main Street. "Actually, I was going back to Boston tonight, but that plan is officially delayed." She rubbed her arms. "The Ridge will do. I can walk it." William looked at her thin dress, her bare legs, and the delicate shoes already wet from snow. It was at least 15 F out, with temperature falling. "That's too far in this chill without proper clothes," he said firmly. "Look, I work at the hardware shop down the block. I have a blanket you can use for the walk at least." She hesitated, naturally wary of a stranger's help, but another shiver seemed to decide for her. "That's very kind of you. Wait." "Here," William said, and hurried back to the storeroom. Inside, he paused, eyeing their few possessions. The blanket he thought of was the one good wool blanket they owned, keeping Liam warm. William touched it briefly, then pulled his own jacket tighter and took his scarf instead. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. When he returned, the woman was standing, stamping her feet against the cold. "I'm sorry, it's just this," he said, offering the warm scarf, "but it should help a bit." She looked at the scarf, then at William with an expression he couldn't quite decipher. "I'm William. By the way, William Carter. I'm Sophia Bennett," she said, taking the scarf and wrapping it around her shoulders. "Thank you for this. Let me walk you to Thadel," William offered. "It's late, and these sidewalks are slick." Sophia studied him for a moment, then nodded. I'd appreciate that. They walked quietly for a time, the snow crunching beneath their feet. William noticed that she still shivered despite the scarf. He should have brought the blanket after all. He said regretfully. Sophia glanced at him. You said you work at the hardware shop. I do odd jobs there, William explained. The owner's an old friend. He's letting Myson and me stay in the back room for now while we... He trailed off, not wanting to burden a stranger with his woes, while you lay back on your feet. Sophia finished gently. William nodded, surprised by her insight. Do you have family here? She asked. Just Liam, my son. He's 10. William couldn't hide the pride in his voice, sharp as a tack and kind-hearted takes after his mother that way. And where is she? Sophia asked carefully. With her new husband, William tried to keep the bitterness out. It's better this way. Liam's whole life is here, his school, his friends. They walked another block in easy silence. William felt an urge to explain he wasn't always like this, that he'd once run a thriving construction firm, a nice home in suburbs, but why bother? This kind young woman was just being polite during a short walk. What brings you to Mapleton? He has skied instead. Sophia hesitated before answering. I inherited some property here recently from me grandfather. Must be nice to have that kind of legacy, William said, then instantly regretted his words. I'm sorry, that was out of line. No, you're right, she said softly. I've been very lucky. My grandfather believed in me when no one else did. He loaned me the money to start my own company when I was fresh out of college with nothing but big dreams. What kind of company? Property development. I restore old buildings, giveth them new purpose while keeping their history. There was real passion in her voice. We started with one small building in South Boston, and now, she trailed off, and now, William prompted, and now I'm here to see what to do with my grandfather's old building. He passed away 3 months ago. She gestured back toward the stone structure they'd walked from. William stopped short. That's quite a property. It takes up half the block. Yes, and it needs work, lots of it. Sophia shivered again. I spent the day inspecting it with a contractor, but he was, let's just say, not what I needed. They had reached Ridge Hotel, a modest 3-story building with a warm lobby light still glowing. William was about to say good night when Sophia turned to him suddenly. Mr. Carter, what kind of odd jobs do you do at the hardware shop? William, please, he corrected. And anything, really. I was a contractor for 20 years before the economy crashed. Now I do repairs. Painting, snow clearing, whatever Harold needs. Sophia's eyes widened slightly. A contractor. What kind of work did you focus on? Residential and small commercial restoration. I had a crew of 15 at one point. William couldn't hide the pride in his voice. We did everything from Victorian restoration to modern office conversions. Sophia studied him with new interest. Would you be interested in looking at the Mapleton building tomorrow? I could use a second opinion from somebody who knows restoration work. William blinked in surprise. I'd be honored. I'll pay you for your time, of course, shedded quickly. William thought about the money he needed for an apartment deposit, about Liam having to sleep in that cold Storomanather night. Pride warred with practicality. That would be very helpful, he admitted. Thank you. Excellent. Meet me at Thebelding at 9. She smiled, and for the first time that evening, it reached her eyes. I'll there. William started to turn away, then remembered. Oh, your scarf. Keep it for no, Sophia said. You can return it tomorrow. William nodded gratefully and watched as she entered the hotel. Only when the door closed behind her did he begin the walk back to the hardware shop, his mind racing with possibilities. When William arrived at the Mapleton building the next morning, with Liam in tow, school was closed for a teacher workday. Sophia was already waiting. She wore practical clothes, no jeans, boots, and a warm parka. Her smile was bright when she saw them. Good morning, William. And who is this? This is me son. Liam, say hello to Miss Bennett. Hello, Liam said politely. William could see his son's curiosity. It's nice to meet you, Liam. You can call me Sophia. She bent slightly to be at his eye level. I hope you don't mind spending the morning looking at an old building with us. Liam shrugged. Is it haunted? Dad says old buildings have stories. Sophia laughed. I haven't met any ghosts yet. But I'm open to the possibility, and your dad is right, buildings do have stories. This one was built by my great-grandfather in 1922. As they entered the building, William was immediately struck by its potential, high ceilings, original woodwork, large windows that would flood the space with natural lightings properly restored. It needed significant work, but the bones were solid. What were you thinking of doing with it? William asked as they walked through the main floor, which had once been a department store but now stood empty. That's what I'm trying to decide. Sophia admitted. The upstairs has 6 apartments that need complete renovation. The ground floor could be retail or office space, but I'm not sure what would work best in Mapleton. William thought about the town, about what it lacked. This area could use some affordable housing, young families, seniors who want to downsize, but stay in town. They're all struggling to find decent places. Sophia nodded thoughtfully. That's exactly the kind of insight I need. The contractor yesterday was pushing for luxury condos, but that didn't feel right for this community. They spent the morning examining the building, William pointing out issues and suggesting solutions while Liam explored the empty spaces, imagining adventures in the echoing rooms. By lunchtime, William had filled several pages with notes and rough sketches. You really know your stuff, Sophia said appreciatively as they sat on the steps, sharing sandwiches she'd brought. I should, William said with a small smile. It's what he did for most of my adult life. What happened? She asked gently. If you wouldn't mind my asking. William sighed, watching Liam, who was safely out of earshot, pretending to be a pirate captain in the empty store space. The housing market crashed just as I'd expanded the business. We had 3 major projects going, and suddenly 2 clients couldn't pay. I had crews to support, materials I'd already purchased. He shook his head. I tried to keep things afloat, took out loans, but it wasn't enough. Then the divorce happened, and, well, he gestured vaguely. Here we are. Sophia was quiet for a moment. Life can change so quickly, she finally said. My grandfather used to say that success isn't about never falling down. It's about how quickly you get back up. Wise man, William commented. Yes, he was. She looked at him directly. William, I need someone to oversee this renovation, someone who understands both preservation and practicality. Would you be interested in the job? William stared at her. Are you serious? Completely. I've been impressed with your knowledge, your ideas, and your work ethic. This project will take months, and I need someone I can trust on the ground here while I'm handling other properties in Boston. I don't know what to say, William stammered. I don't have a crew anymore, or equipment. You'll have a budget to hire local workers and rent what you need, Sophia assured him. I'm not looking for the lowest bid, I am looking for quality work that honors building's history, while making it useful again. William felt something he hadn't experienced in years, hope, mixed with the familiar excitement of a new project, but caution held him back. Why would you trust him with something this important? You barely know me, Sophia smiled. Because you gave me your scarf last night when you clearly needed it yourself. Because you didn't exaggerate your expertise or promise me impossible timelines like the other contractor did. And because I believe in second chances. She paused. My grandfather gave me one, and it changed my life. William looked over at Liam, who was watching them curiously now. It would mean a steady income, a chance to do what I love again, and an apartment, Sophia added. The building at the end of the block, the brick one with the green awnings, it belongs to my company too. There's a vacant 2-bedroom on the 2nd floor that comes with the job. William felt his throat tighten with emotion. Sophia, I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me yet, she laughed. There is a lot of work ahead of us, but I have a feeling we're going to make something special here. Liam ran over then, his exploration complete. Dad, can we come back tomorrow? I found a secret door in the back. William looked at Sophia, who nodded with a smile. Yes, buddy, we can, William said, ruffling his son's hair. In fact, I think we're going to be spending a lot of time here. As winter melted into spring, the Mapleton building gradually transformed. William hired local workers. Many of them former employees would scatter to other jobs when his business failed. The upstairs apartments took shape as affordable housing for families and seniors, while the ground floor was redesigned as a community marketplace where local artisans and small business owners could rent space. Sophia visited every few weeks, staying longer each time. William noticed how she remembered everyone's names, brought coffee for the crew on cold mornings, and genuinely listened to their ideas. She wasn't what he'd expected from a successful Boston developer. One evening in April, as they sat on the front steps of the nearly completed building, watching the sunset paint the sky in shade of soft pink and gold, Sophia turned to him. "William, there's something I never told you," she said quietly. "What's that?" "The night we met, I wasn't stranded by accident." She looked down at her hands. "I'd had a terrible meeting with that contractor. He treated me like I didn't know what I was talking about because I was a woman. Then, my driver got sick and had to leave suddenly. I sat on that curb, feeling completely overwhelmed, wondering if I'd made a mistake coming here at all." William listened, unsure where she was going with this. "Then you appeared," she continued, "offering what little you had to accomplish stronger. It reminded me of why I wanted Toto this work in the first place, to create spaces where people take care of each other." She looked up at him, her eyes bright. "You changed the course of this project that night without even knowing it." William shook his head, embarrassed by her praise. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Sophia said firmly, "not everyone would have stopped. Not everyone would have cared." Their eyes met, and William felt something shift between them, a recognition of shared values, of mutual respect that had grown over months of working together. Sophia had begun, but was interrupted by Liam bounding up the steps. "Dad, Miss Sophia, come see what we did in the community room." Sophia smiled and stood, offering William her hand. "Shall we?" As they followed Liam inside, William reflected on how much had changed in just a few months. He had a home again, work that fulfilled him, and his son was thriving in their new apartment. Most surprisingly, had found a friendship with Sophia that was gradually becoming something more, something neither of them had been looking for, but had found nonetheless. The Mapleton building stood as a testament to Toscan chances, not just for William and Liam, but for the entire community that was already beginning to gather within its walls. What had begun with a simple act of kindness on a cold night had blossomed into something neither of them could have imagined. As they entered the community room, where Liam was proudly showing off the mural he'd helped design, a tree with leaves made of handprints from local children, William caught Sophia's eye and smiled. The coldest nights indeed matteth brightest stars, and for the first time in years, William's future seemed as bright as the hope in his son's eyes. They had found more than shelter, they had found home in this building, in this town, and in each other's lives.